having a conversation with my dear friend, Anna. And Anna has been an inner circle reader of Moving from Fear to Trust. And when I received her feedback, it just really moved me. And I felt, oh, wow, this book is actually going to have the impact that I had envisioned. And it was just so exciting to actually get that in real time. So Anna is a leadership and embodiment coach from Finland who I've known for many years now, and she is such an inspiration of mine. And Anna, I am so honored for you to be joining us today and having this conversation. So thank you and a warm welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Finally, we are here live after a little bit of moving from fear to trust with the settings.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt, your feedback on the book and the impact that it had on you. I'd love to just hear what that really was, and in terms of that experience of reading it, and what jumped out the most for you.
So, first of all, thank you so much for giving me access to a book that was not even in the world yet. It wasn't even public, and being able to read something when it's still in that phase, I felt very privileged. And it was one morning when I woke up 5:30, made myself coffee. It was really dark, and I got this intuitive hit. Like, okay, I think now is a great time to read the book. And I sat down and read it in one go, and I was deeply moved. I think if I remember correctly, sending you the voice note, I said how you are able to articulate and voice your lived experience in a way that resonates with our own human experience. So for me, things like finding your own passions and how that shifted and iterated throughout the years, your relationship with your father, your relationship with your mother, and finding completely transforming yourself in the process on a cellular level, and constantly just letting go of what was no longer yours. Just a few things that really resonated with me. It was such a beautiful experience to read. And as you said, I believe that this book can change many lives because it's written from your heart, and you're also being very open, vulnerable, and real in your experience. And I think that honesty and rawness will inspire many to know that human life isn't just an upward journey like it sometimes looks like on social media, but you sharing all sides of it can be really empowering. So those are my first feels on how it felt that morning.
Oh, I love that. And it's so funny because just to think I was inside this office writing away, starting it. The very start was the January of 2019. And my editor, Mary Helen, I was kind of like, where do I actually begin? And she just said, just start at the beginning. Just, you're telling your story. And it is a memoir. And also it's something that I feel is my life's work. And it's something that I've had to surrender to over and over again, because it is the moving from fear to trust initiation to even write a book like this, because you're doing it, you're kind of going into the dark, into the womb, and you've no idea of how it's going to go or exactly what the path looks like, but you're feeling into it. You're feeling the realness of it, and you're feeling what feels like this. I always describe it as like this golden thread that's always guiding you and always speaking to you. And sometimes that's so subtle. And I think for that to come through, it had to be like completely real and raw. And this is who I am, kind of just like laying my cards on the table. Because I feel for so long, things have been suppressed, things have been hidden. And in order for us to make peace with our past or our own family or whatever experiences we've gone through, it's so important, I feel, to have that space to express that to yourself, even first and foremost, and then to be able to share this with the world, and to share it with you, Anna. It has been so inspiring, because I feel even just hearing your words and your response to it makes it feel more tangible. I feel like it's like in that process you're helping me to anchor it in deeper, because it still feels like a newborn, which it is, because it's just newly released. It's a newborn, and it feels in that same way I felt so vulnerable after giving birth to Rian. I feel that same feeling with this book and this experience. So just having you coming into my space and actually bringing your presence and bringing your gifts and your wisdom to it is helping me to just like establish it. So yeah, it's such a it's a two-way street. It's not just like, oh, I have this book and I want you to read it. It's actually it's that that how would you say, it's that mutual inspiration that has to happen to actually make it even more like established, even rooting it more deeply, because it's not something that you can do on your own. It's something that requires support, requires collaboration, and requires somebody else's eyes and perception on it, so that I can actually learn more about what it means to live this and to embody this. And I think that's really what your work is all about as well. And I think you're the perfect woman to collaborate with, to to go to these depths, because it's not something that is a superficial experience. It's not something that I want to just share, and just I want it to be an organic process of bringing this out, because I feel that it has an activation quality to it, in that so many of us are called to kind of go, hang on a minute, things have been done a certain way, and maybe that's in your own life or in your own family or in the collective, but doesn't mean they always have to be that way. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts around that.
I love when you say activate. The book has a power to activate others, and I was truly inspired reading it, and inspired by your capability to articulate your experience. And for me, here's that activation power, because how your life has unfolded, the experiences you've had are so different. There's a lot of contrast in this book alone. And how you move from that campaigning to finding your now husband, your relationship with your parents. There are a lot of different threads, and how you've been able to articulate them. I feel that there's maybe that activation power. And maybe in there, like I said in the beginning, that resonance is born because how you are able to share about your life and being really authentic and honest at it can really do something to us below our awareness, and also inspire us when we see that, oh, someone who's been in this situation, and look at them now. So it really speaks about your resilience and your ability to regenerate yourself again and again and again. Like, I'm like, how many women has she been?
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like there are so many iterations of you, and I bet this isn't over. So although you talk about that when you send me the book, you're like, it doesn't take a lot of your time. Although it's not the biggest book there is, but there's a lot on those pages, like the variety of experiences and depth to the words. I think that's where the activation comes from. It's the selection of words, the experiences, and your heart clearly being in the process.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's what arises in me.
Yeah, and a huge part of this has been like looking into the past and looking into like my family and looking into experiences I've had, and writing it has helped me to, I suppose, gain the insights that I wouldn't have gained without writing, without being able to, because you are writing a book to others, but ultimately you're writing it to yourself. So I know you've written a book, so I'm sure you feel very much the same. It's like whenever you're creating any form of art or creation, you're expressing to yourself first and foremost. It's like a letter to yourself. And so I'm able to see the patterns, and I'm able to see how things have gone, and I'm able to, instead of pointing fingers and blaming people for what went wrong or what unfolded, I'm able to realize that I can gain so much inspiration from, say, different patterns of behavior or different dynamics that have gone on, and I can use that to regenerate myself and to create a new lineage and a new story going into the future. And that's really where the power is. It's not about getting stuck in stories. And that's why the story initially was actually very long, but my editor came along nicely and kind of whittled it down, because it's not about having all this detail or getting, bogged down in like a big historical, account. It's more about the essence of it, and to be able to take away from it what are the actual lessons and what are the gifts from it. And I know this is a process. It's called recapitulation, and it's something that actually happens to us when we die, where we recapitulate our life. So we go through, all the experiences that we've had. So I feel like I've done that before I've physically died, but it has been a process of, dying to older versions of myself. And also to realize that moving from fear to trust is a dynamic framework to guide you for your whole entire life. It's not a one-off event, and it's not something that I've just gone through the once or the twice. It's like, every new chapter, every unknown is asking you to move from fear to trust. And in order for us to shed the old ways in ourselves, we have to trust in what's calling us, in, like what's whispering to us. And sometimes it's not even a whisper. Sometimes it's like, it's a roar. It's like an internal roar. Like, I cannot live that way anymore. I cannot be that person anymore. But I have to trust when I take that leap that who I am becoming is there. But I have to lean into that. I have to stretch my capacity, and I have to surrender to that process and actually, lead it, with conviction. And I feel that's my message, is to kind of, how I actually said, because I'm signing copies of the book and I'm sending it out. I must send you a book actually, so you have a physical copy. But I'm sending like personal messages to those who are ordering the book. And I wrote one message to a friend of mine who ordered it, and I said, may these words be, a drum just like beating, to trust in that calling, like to trust in that calling more than anything, more than your own doubts, more than what other people are saying around you, more than anything. So I feel I have been prepared to embody this message so that I can, as you say, activate, but also to really call that forth in people. So whoever's reading that, whatever is the thing that is at the precipice of coming through, to be able to inspire them to just go with that. And sometimes that requires walking into the dark and not seeing it, not seeing how it will all work out, but realizing that the support of life and God and the existence that is, animating everything is actually holding you. But that is something that society doesn't show us, doesn't prepare us for. So often we have to initiate ourselves into this experience. So I feel my story, to share that with the world, is to be able to, as you say, well, if Aislinn's gone through this and she was able to do that, and she came from here, how, of course I can do that in my way, in my life. Of course I can. And so that's my ultimate intention is with that. It's not about just having people read the story. It's more a case of like my deepest intention is for that to be activated, because the more of us that actually step into that, the better it is for everyone. And the more that we do that, the more that we create that it's like courage is contagious, isn't it? But equally fear is also the same. But if you actually have more of, like, surrounding yourself with more courage, more trust, more faith, more hope, more resilience, then despite what's happening in the world at the moment, that becomes the main experience, as opposed to the others crowding out and kind of drowning out who you are.
It's interesting. When I listen to you, what's coming to me is that we seem to have this notion. A lot of people think that they need to have this purpose and what's the goal and where are you heading in life. And sometimes life doesn't work like that. And looking at your book, it's like it's a constant unfolding of more of who you are, going from one thing to the other. So again, it's like these stepping stones. Is you wanted to campaign, you went into that, and that revealed the next step. And sometimes you actually heard something, someone said something to you that you should study this or go and talk to that person, and you were like, huh, and then you continued doing your thing. So later when you came back to that information, then you went for it, which also speaks about, well, sometimes we might not be listening, but also sometimes we're not ready. So so it's this interesting iteration of life that when we keep moving, that's when we unfold more of what is ours. And I think when you said in the beginning you had a hard time starting the book and the advice was to start writing it. Like
Yeah.
how do what's my purpose, or what am I supposed to do here? Is like just do something. So
Yeah.
I think that this is something I admire in you, the courage to follow those nudges or breadcrumbs or whatever you want to call it. Even like I bet 10 years ago you didn't know that you would have a book, and you
No.
that moving from fear to trust, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's quite something that I wish to embody more, and something where I think we have gotten that, not necessarily in a way that it's not very supportive of life. When we want to have that grand mission, we want to have all things figured out before we take the first step. And actually when we take the first step and the second and the third, that's how things are revealed. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of paradox in there.
Oh, absolutely. And we're sometimes waiting till we feel ready, or that we have everything, as you say, mentally, figured out. And it's like that. For me, my own experience, that is never the case.
Yeah. No,
Never.
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. You just have to have the courage and the conviction. And it's like it's this inner belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And it's not that the belief is, as you say, this grand plan that you have all like mapped out in your mind. It's the belief is that there's something there for you, and there is something there for you to unfold in yourself. And you must, with all your nerve and all your might, follow that path. Even when it might not necessarily make sense to others who can't see that, or don't have the inner intel, because they're only looking at it from their own perspective or their own lens. And it might, and people only sometimes look at what, their own experience from their own life, as in they can't see something that's not outside their own lived experience.
Yep.
So for me, it's been, over this past 13 years, it's been a continuous initiation into the unknown, and walking into it and just kind of going, but like given the direction, as in like, this is the signpost, go here. But then the mind has to trust. Because the mind can't see the whole picture, can't see the whole plan. But there is the divine guidance there that does. So it's not that you're blindly trusting and, you're falling off the edge of a cliff. It's actually that your mind is letting go of the known and entering into the unknown, so that you're able to have that new experience. And that's ultimately what it is. And I think, you very much embody that for me as well, because I see you living that, and that inspires me to know that you're doing your thing, and you're continuously unfolding who you are as well. So I think, we all have that role for each other. And sometimes we're waiting around to feel that confidence. And yeah, even writing the book and even getting it to the stage of it being published now, I'm like, the confidence is experience. That's it. And it's like Rian learning how to walk. He's learning how to walk down the stairs now at the moment.
Yeah.
And he's got no and he's got no filter. It's like, oh, but I'm like behind him going, are you okay? Careful now, careful now. And he is very careful, but as in, it's just like it's having that childlike quality as well in us as adults to kind of go, yeah, I can try new things, and it's safe to do so. But I don't know, from my own story, and I think for a lot of people's family lineage, the fear of the unknown has been so big, to step out of the status quo and to do things a bit different is feared. So I think if we're able to just give ourselves that belief that we can do it, and that we don't need other people to validate who we are until we that we actually are, we are becoming that. We don't need to prove that to anyone. We just are. That's it.
It's interesting, this need of validation or external input or feedback. I believe that if we can if we can organize ourselves from within, which gives us the ability to build something that is really sustainable and foundational. At the same time, can we allow ourselves to use all the leverage we have from our external environment that supports us on our journey, like your book?
Mm-hmm.
So it is really about being aware and awake and understanding how I can best support myself in my life. Is like, okay, so if someone now feels called to read your book, please do. And please use that as your guidepost, or be inspired. Use that as your expansion. Someone's gone before you. I think that can be really powerful. So understanding how sometimes the external environment is there exactly for us to support us on our journey. And if we combine that with that inner conviction that you speak about, and use that tool to strengthen our faith in ourselves. I don't know what you want to say. You're like, well, she did it, so I can do it, whatever that message is.
Mm-hmm.
I think there can potentially be a very powerful combination that allows not only the heart to believe that, but for the mind to believe that. Because now what you were saying is around the mind. The mind wants to have explanations, articulation, have sense and logic. Maybe your book can give a bit of logic. Oh, she's done that. She went there. She did that. So that the mind can relax and be on board with the plan, with the bigger plan, even though there is a lot of ambiguity. So this is maybe something that someone can take away from this conversation today, is building that inner capacity and leveraging people and resources in our environment that are truly coming from a place of beautiful, loving intention, and that are life affirming. This is important. There's a lot of nuance in here, but this is important to be aware, to discern what that information is that is right for me on my journey. So maybe a lot of people will find that expansion and support for their mind through your book.
I love that. I absolutely adore that. And I think that's such a missing piece in it, because I think sometimes people are hearing, oh, surrender to the unknown and trust in the journey and trust in the process.
Yeah.
But I
What does
say,
that mean?
what does that actually mean? And it's not just a concept. And I love what you're saying in terms of, yes, first and foremost, it has to be that inner strength and inner belief. But again, there is no separation between the inner self and the outer self. And there's so many different people and places that you can go to, and not everyone is going to support your journey. But on the other hand, there is going to be so many that will support you. So it's having that discernment to know where to nurture and cultivate those connections. And I think actually the way my book is being launched into the world is a perfect example of that. So it's like, I've been here in my little, silo writing my book, and then, oh, hey, I have this book. And then I've shared it with those who are in deep alignment and resonance with me from connections and relationships that I've cultivated over many years. And I've invited those who were interested to read the book and to share that. And then, I had in-person events similarly in Ireland So we had an event in Wexford, Wicklow, Kerry, and in Athlone so far, and we'll be having more to come. You know, it's just this organic journey. And again, it's like that. I like that perfect example of what you just shared there. Is I'm actually using the external to actually leverage this message out into the world in a way that I couldn't possibly do if I was trying to just do it in, you know, on my own. You know, just trying to push it out is like, and this doesn't feel like a push to me. This feels like, it just feels like a natural expansion, you know, and it's moving with the, you know, the natural organic timeline of this book and the way it's meant to reach people in the way that it's meant to. And again, I don't have to force that. I just have to show up to that, attune myself to it, and have the courage to keep showing up. And how I know, because I actually asked Richie, I said, there's so many things I could be doing right now. And because I have a little boy who's 18 months, you know, I have to condense my time down to be able to take action, you know, outside of being a mother. And he just said to me, he said, you'll know if it's right when it feels right, you know, when it feels like, that feels like the natural next step or the natural next progression of that. So yeah, it would be an absolute honor for this book to land into somebody's hands and for it to be a signpost for somebody to go, oh yeah, oh wow, actually you can do something, you know, like as in stepping into the unknown or whatever that looks like for you at this moment in time, that there's actually, there is a blueprint to follow.
Yeah.
And when you tune into, like, everyone's blueprint is different and looks slightly different, but there's a general theme. And when you can attune into that, it can give you, it can just call into you, again, it's that trust and courage in your own self to go, do you know what? I can trust my path and what's been asked of me here. And I can actually show my mind evidence of that. So let my story be evidence of that for you, that you can go, I can hang my mind, I can hang my hat on that, you know. And when you're having those moments of doubt, you can return to that. And I feel even having these conversations is going to be so valuable for people who, you know, are either joining us now or will come across this at whatever time, is going to enter into their field and into their awareness, and just give them that reassurance, really, and that affirmation, that life affirming affirmation, that yes, you know, what it is that you are thinking and feeling and tuning into is totally valuable, and it is something that you should give your full conviction to and get behind it. Because I think we can go our whole lifetime not following that, and you know, we can get lost in other people's lives and lost in handing our power over to other people. And I'm feeling that right now at the moment. It's like I'm in this kind of transition phase right now, and I can see myself, you know, it's not a linear path, so I can see myself reverting to older parts of me that would have identified as, oh, you need, you know, you're not able to do this because this part now is too scary. But actually, even Richie said to me, you need to read back your book to yourself and remind yourself of what you've done so far. Literally, he was like, please read the first. He was like, I'm reading whatever the start of your book right now. And he's like, you need to go back on that because, you know, yeah, again, it's just like, it's the evidence of like what I've done so far. And because I'm kind of in that unknown phase again, I have to like strengthen myself to go, this may be new territory, but look what you've already navigated.
Yep.
You are a navigator, you know?
Yes, for sure. And you know, something that comes to me as we have this conversation that I believe is important to voice is that what your book does, that I spoke a little bit about earlier, is these stepping stones of you went after your commitment, your desire, and something new unfolded. How you speak about these experiences, and by the way, thank you to your editor because there's been fantastic work around it, also showing the non-linear nature of the journey. Because what I find is often people are like, well, you know, I'm here because A, B, and C, but by the way, they forget to say the D, E, F, G, you know, all the other stuff that actually is maybe not that press worthy, or, you know, maybe it's not that cool or whatever. but then we are forgetting and ignoring an important part of the puzzle that is deeply humane, which speaks about anger, sadness, shame, failure. So I think in that maybe the activation powers we spoke about earlier is also your pain, the the failure that you felt in that moment, that obviously looking back now, it's like, well, hasn't that been well orchestrated?
Yeah.
But showing your humanity in its full spectrum
Hmm.
and showing the non-linear nature of a journey, I think it's really important, because we tend to forget that. And
Yeah.
then we don't sit with those challenging moments. And actually, that's where we are missing the lessons as well. So this book can also activate those capacities with ourselves that maybe, like I know for me, deep sadness, shame, regret also want to be processed. And when we do that, so while this can be aspirational, she's gone after her dreams, also let's not ignore the importance of being with those challenging emotions and experiences. And maybe this book is activating those, allowing them to be processed and healed,
Hmm.
because there is potent power for us to move on our journeys when we deal
Yeah.
with our hard stuff as well. So this showing this, how human life is sometimes really messy and complex and it doesn't make any sense. It's just important reminder for all of us to understand the complexity, the beautiful complexity, what
Hmm.
human life is all about. So thank you for your vulnerability and your courage to articulate your journey in this raw way, because it's almost like you are including both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
And when we do that, there, there's this maybe it's whole, there's
Hmm.
this wholeness that comes together, and
Hmm.
therefore it can be even more powerful. So just for everyone to remember, it's like we are all trying our best, but like it's not how
Yeah.
you see it somewhere else. It's like the good stuff and then there's the other stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And it's so funny because, my dad's here with me at the moment. And so, I was sharing, how I've shared stuff about my childhood and stuff like that in the book. And I suppose my perception of him and how things unfolded and stuff like that, and how him as an adult now is able to kind of say, well, I was reacting like that because XYZ happened, or, I was feeling like this. And again, it's just like that vulnerability of the human experience, and how we all have judgments around how people behave or how they show up or how they didn't do what we wanted them to do or whatever. And it's just so interesting to kind of see it now from a different perspective, from an adult perspective, but also to kind of realize, how do I want to create my family?
Mm,
Because I have that power is in my hands only, not anyone else's.
yeah.
And so whatever way your family
Yeah.
has been for you or how you were brought up, it's like, yeah. So I feel that is, there's so many parts of that in the book, I think, that will really speak to so many people, and just to give space for that, because we can hold a lot of resentment and a lot of anger our whole lives, and ultimately we're only harming our own selves when we do that.
Absolutely.
So my mom, we share the story in the book, just a lesson around forgiveness. And I remember my mom telling me how, not that she felt like that was so important, but her forgiveness of my dad. She said that was to release herself. And I feel how many people have walked through their whole life having never done that. So yeah, I think there's that part of the book as well, is being able to make space for that as well in your own experience, so that, as you say, it's like, yes, you can have your vision and you can have your dream and everything like that, but it's like, in order for you to even go on that journey, you're going to have to face all the dark stuff as well. You're going to have to face all that pain,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and not get lost in it as well.
Yeah.
but be able to actually release it, but like not release it in a fake forced way, but actually in a way that is
Genuine.
genuine and it's organic, and it's like, again, it's not like, oh, I started here and now look at me, I'm 100% healed and never going to be triggered again. That's not the human experience, because relationships are, as I've heard, are the temples of our initiations. They're the thing that will grow us the most, is to be in relationship. So yeah, that part of the book, I feel, will really speak to so many that are called on a healing path.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, I remember just doing the nutrition and doing detoxes and all this, and then all of a sudden all this emotional stuff started coming up, which I go through the story in the book, but really it was, oh my gosh, I felt like so lost, because nobody kind of prepared me for that. I didn't realize that when you start cleansing your physical body, that like your emotional body, your mental body, all the stuff, all the gunk wants to start coming up. So yeah, I think this is going to be a great framework for people if they are called onto that healing path, to realize, yes, you may be called to heal your body physically, but then there's going to be other stuff that is going to want to be revealed to you. And to not shy away from that, because I think there's a lot of, because we're looking at social media and we're seeing like these images, and sometimes it's like this kind of perfect image is portrayed, but not the real kind of unraveling that has to happen when you are brave enough to go on the journey of self-discovery and to like excavate the gems. And that's not always a pretty, or sometimes it's a very messy process. So I think that was very important for me to share that it's not just like, oh hey, yeah, just like do a detox and then I'm healed and then here I am and here's the answer for you. More or less, it's like, this is something that is, for me, it's a lifelong journey of discovery, but it's being able to get your foundations right, like get all the basics in place, and then be able to support yourself going into your future, in creating that legacy that you want to create and to share with others, and maybe create your own family with, or maybe create a body of work around. But yeah, so that part I think is really, really important for people to realize that, and that whatever you're going through is totally natural. And I think the more of us that share that with each other, we realize we're all going through that in different ways.
And I think that's something that is so important to highlight is, you said that, oh, emotions came up and no one told me about this. It's like, yeah, a lot of the things that you and I, for example, have discussed, and I know you discuss as part of your work, yes, there is no school curriculum for this one. And the more I live my own life, I realize how little I know. So with everything that we've said, at the same time, it's okay to ask for support. It's okay to ask for help in whatever form that comes from. So there are always people who are a few steps ahead of you. There are always people who have done things that you want to do, or if you don't understand. I think also we need to normalize asking for help, asking for support. And when we voice ourselves and say, I don't understand what's going on, this is happening, we also realize that so many others are going through the same things. So really the responsibility in a way is on the individual. But at the same time, I hope this book and also social media, these channels, are able to spread this information and awareness towards those people who really need it. So this is what Ram Dass says, one of my favorite quotes, that is, we are just all walking each other home. So we are doing this together.
Yeah.
And that's important to remember, that no one's alone, but sometimes we need to speak up to get the support, and that's not easy either.
No, it's not whatsoever. But yeah, that is our invitation here, I feel, and just being able to share this conversation and share this message with those who are needing to hear it, and it will touch that part of them that maybe they haven't given time to listen to, because sometimes life gets so busy and we get so far out of ourselves Yeah, so let this be an invitation and reminder to come back into your center and back into your root and your seat of presence and power and connection to your own self. And yeah, I think realizing for me, like moving from fear to trust, actually realizing that support is there and being able to ask for it and being able to use it in the right way, that is what is like a continuous feedback loop to be able to build my trust in myself and also in life and my experience. So yeah, we're not an island.
We're not.
We're here to receive from each other and to guide each other, and yeah, just to remind each other of our wholeness and to come back into that. So I would love to invite those who are interested in receiving the book. You can comment below and I will send you the link for the ordering of the book. And I'm actually creating a workshop next week. So for everyone who gets a copy of the book, they'll get an invite to a free workshop where I'm going to be going deeper into how to move from fear to trust. Yeah, because I wanted to pack in so much into the book, but so yeah, stuff that I didn't get
Your
to.
editor told you not to.
Yeah.
Can I read a few words from the book from your mom
Yeah.
to wrap up?
Yeah.
So your mom had written on New Year's Eve 2017 on this letter. Sorry if you haven't read the book, I spilled, but only a little bit. And then you opened that later and she said, one step at a time, one word at a time, one kindness at a time. All we have is now.
Mm. Such a beautiful message, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yeah, just receiving that message after she passed away was just like, come on now, Ash, this was like the final piece for me, to hand the baton to me and go, you've got this.
Yeah, you've got
and even though it might feel at times just like really daunting, when you come back to that, it's like you can do it.
Yeah.
When you just come back into your center and one step at a time, you can do it, and it's all there and it's all supporting you. And and I know that she's there through this whole journey. And yeah, and I think her presence is there to surround everyone who comes into our field, not just for me, but for everyone, because that was her role, and that's the role that she's playing. So I'm honored that you shared those words, and I hope that everyone feels that warm motherly embrace of the mother. My mom is Martha, and the mother is there for all of us to be held by now at this time.
Yeah, I got goosebumps.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, so I will have the links for the book below, and if anyone wants to share any of their insights or questions or anything like that, please do pop them in the comments below. We're streaming onto a few platforms here today, so I feel very professional right now, like on all these different channels. Yeah, so really cool to be able to have this opportunity to reach you in this way. And I'd like to thank you, Anna, for your whole essence and being, even though we've never met yet in person, even though that is definitely on the cards and going to happen at some stage. I cannot wait to get to Finland. But yeah, I'm just so honored that you're part of this, and that your warmth and your presence is giving me so much trust in myself.
Thank you so much. And thank you for allowing me to read your book, among the first people to receive your words. And may my life be forever changed because of your book. I honor our friendship, and I am forever grateful that we are on this path of rediscovering ourselves time and time again. So thank you so much for this conversation.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. And for those who would like to connect with you, Anna, just let them know where they can find you and connect.
Well, if we are on Facebook, you can tag me, so you can easily find me there. Or then I have a website, Anna Kuusela, to use. I'm also on Instagram along the same name. So it's pretty easy. I don't know if there are many Anna Kuuselas around there in this world, so it's pretty easy to find me. And please feel free to be in touch. Always happy to connect.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. And thank you for your time today. And I'll see you very soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.